Hi, Jeremy McIntyre from 20th Education, joined here with Sir Richard Branson of the Virgin Group. Richard, just want to firstly congratulate you for the launch of the Australia. I know as a business traveller, many Australians fly into the US. Qantas, we've paid a lot of money in the past, and it's about time someone's put the money where the mouth is and start talking to us and say us a lot of money as far as travelling. You're an inspiration to many people, including myself, and I owe a lot of my business success to people like yourself that have set the standard in business. What's perhaps your inspiration and driving force to put the effort in to launch a company like the Australian companies that we've done?
I love creating things, and like, you know, if I see a gap in the market, you know, I'll go in and see if I can fill that gap. And I like to create things which I can be really proud of. So, you know, if we're going to set up an airline between here and America, it's got to be the best airline. There's no point in being second best. You know, we've got to be competitive on fares. We've got to get the best crews flying on it, and we've got to have everybody saying, you know, that's the airline, having flown it, that's the airline they want to fly. Love a new challenge, love a bit of fun.
Fantastic. Well, I'm also excited about donating $60,000 to Virgin charities, and so I believe in the cruises, and I look forward to the inaugural flight later in the year.
Well, we look forward to seeing you on board.
I know you can't fly Virgin to America on your flight tomorrow yet, so I've got some flight entertainment readings on this in the book. Oh, wonderful. Give you a chance to have a read of something on the way.
Thank you. It's quite a good promotion guide too. Thanks a lot.
He is the self-made millionaire that's made it his mission to teach over 250,000 people the financial skills you should have learnt at school.
Hi, my name's Jeremy McIntyre, CEO of 21st Century Education and best-selling author of What I Didn't Learn at School But Wish I Had. Today's lesson in audiobook, we're going to talk about a gentleman I had the privilege to meet 3 or 4 times personally now over the last several years. A gentleman named Sir Richard Branson, one of the world's leading entrepreneurs. Many people would say he is the most successful entrepreneur. Most of you would be familiar with Richard from the success of his Virgin Group. He's the only entrepreneur on the planet that's built over 8 separate billion-dollar companies in separate industries. You know, most people would be happy, as I say, with building at least $1 billion company, let alone 8. And the Virgin Group now comprises in excess of 300 to 400 independent companies and employs in excess of 50,000 employees. So Richard, you know, is without peer as far as one of the most successful and well-known entrepreneurs on the planet. So what we want to do is actually dissect and I guess look at what are some key lessons, 7 lessons in particular, that's made Richard successful, has made many other people successful, and how do we go about taking those lessons and implementing to our own life. Now, what I find interesting, you know, is that when you get many people that are successful in business or in sports or in their career or in a relationship or with being healthy or having a strong physical body, whatever aspect of expertise they may have, is many people are successful, but successful in what we know as unconscious competence. In other words, they're unconsciously competent in what they do that's led to their success. And often if you ask them how did they become successful, they would struggle and sometimes not be able to articulate and communicate the exact strategy or the exact recipe that they've used to be able to produce results that they do. And Sir Richard Branson is probably a good example of this. So Richard has unconscious competence at being a successful entrepreneur. He does particular strategies over and over again that's led to him becoming a multi-billionaire. But if you ask Richard personally, for him to be able to articulate exactly what's led to him to be successful, he often will find that difficult or is then unable to expand on it in any great degree. One, because he's not a trained educator or public speaker, he's an entrepreneur and that's not his skill set. And 2, it would require often someone else to be able to understand what he does, to be able to extract those key learning distinctions, those key strategies and concepts that's produced the results he's producing, and then be able to articulate that and communicate that in a way to a wider audience so other people then could model that level of success to some degree. Now often I will say, you know, it's a shortcut to success as an educator and as someone that's in business myself that's built over a dozen different companies, you know, has turned over tens of millions of dollars and become a self-made millionaire in my 20s. I don't share that, any of that to impress you, but impress upon you. I've also applied many strategies that's had success in my businesses that you've been well beyond what I expected, and that has come from applying this shortcut to success. And that shortcut is this: simply find out someone that's successful at doing what you want to do, and then simply do the opposite of what we were taught at school. We were taught at school not to copy. Okay, I'm suggesting in the 21st century, if we want to be successful, we should copy, but we're going to call it a different word to copying. Copying has a negative connotation. The word that we're looking for is modeling. In other words, we're going to model success. The challenge is for most people is that most people are modeling failure. In other words, financially, they do what everyone else does in their peer group, or what their family taught them, or what their views at school or church, or whatever their social conditioning, or what we call social hypnosis, the thought patterns and their thinking around money and financial success, what they grew up on. And they basically just model what everyone else does. And in our Western societies, 93 to 94% of the population at retirement age of age 65 are financially struggling and not in an abundant position where they can sustain a lifestyle without working. Most of them rely on a government pension, which we know won't exist in the future, or family or friends or some support to be able to continue to even exist on a basic lifestyle. So most people in Western rich countries fail miserably financially, and as a result of that, most other people are just modeling and doing the same as everyone else but expecting a different result. And we all know the definition of insanity is exactly that. So the obvious key, and when I teach teenagers at our free youth summits around the country, is that if you want to be wealthy, who should you study? Should you study a poor person, or should you study a rich person? Now, teenagers obviously know the answer because it's really common sense, isn't it? If we want to be rich, we should study rich people. Why? Because we would then be modeling someone that's produced a result. If we want it to be rich, how do we learn from that? So what we're doing here is, let's say, if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, let's go and study some of the most successful entrepreneurs on the planet, and let's take as many valuable distinctions and lessons from those individuals, such as Richard Branson, that we're doing here in this audio book, that we can then apply to our own lives. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to have the same level of success as the people that we model. But if I was to suggest this, if you only achieved 1% of the success as Richard Branson as an entrepreneur, would that be worth it? And the obvious answer is yes, because it's worth, literally millions of dollars. It's a bit like if we wanted to be a successful investor, we wanted to model, say, Warren Buffett as an investor. Warren Buffett, the second richest person on the planet, one of the most successful investors of all time in history. Of course, we model his success, and he's worth $30 billion today. We're only 1% as successful as Richard Branson. They could build a net worth of $300 million. So the key with modeling is you do not have to be as successful as the people you model. It's just you want to get enough or a little bit of it to rub off, and you can outperform your current results. So it's all about how do you go where you are now. If you're in business right now, how do you improve those results? By modeling some lessons you can learn off multi-billionaires like Richard Branson. Or if you're not in business, how you can take up those ideas to come up with an idea to get into business that's more likely to succeed. Or if you're just in a career and you work as a manager or in a company, it's always valuable to learn powerful distinctions that you can use to apply to add more value in your role. Because ultimately, here's some very simple lessons that before we go into the key lessons from Richard Branson, is that two things we must do in order to increase our wealth. And number one lesson is this: we must add value. It's critical in whatever we do, whether you're an investor, you're an entrepreneur, you're an employee, you must add value. If you're not making as much money as you want right now, then I'm going to suggest is that you are not adding enough value to your company, whether it's your company or the company you work for, or to society in some way. The more value you add, the more opportunity you have, and the more rights you have to earning a larger income or a larger net worth. One of the reasons Richard Branson is a multi-billionaire is that because he, through his companies and his charitable causes, adds significant value to society. Through business, through employing people, through delivering products and services as a better quality or at a better price, etc. And as a result of that, adding billions of dollars, literally hundreds of billions of dollars in value, he gets a share in a fraction of that, and that leads to wealth. So, number one lesson we learned today is that we must add value in everything we do. Then these strategies will ultimately work. Number two lesson that we must learn, and this is so critical, especially if you're an entrepreneur, is that you must make a profit. Now, that sounds very simplistic, very common sense, but how many people neglect that lesson? If you're going to be an entrepreneur, the two things that you're balancing on a day-to-day basis: how do you add as much value as you can, but how do you make a profit in doing it? Now, even if you're running a non-profit organization, you still must be able to make a profit. Non-profits are making a profit, just the profit goes back into the mission or the cause of the charity or non-profit organization. So profit in a lot of circles for a lot of people is seen as a dirty or bad word. We must change that. You will never be a successful entrepreneur if you can be comfortable with making a profit. But the key is to be able to make a profit with this healthy balance of adding value. And the more value you add, the more profit you're actually entitled to. So it's these two key distinctions that are so critical as what we'd say our organizing principles. And you ask Richard Branson if he was not comfortable or not able to make his companies profitable, then as a result, his ability to add value long term would diminish. His ability now, because he's made a lot of profit, added a lot of value, has greater capacity, financial capacity, to then be more charitable, to give and put into causes that will improve the planet and focus on tackling some of those bigger problems in the world that I'm sure most people would like to partake or assist and contribute to making this planet and this world a better place. However, by getting yourself in a strong financial position makes that possible. So let's go through now and look at some of the lessons I've heard.